Hey everyone, so today we're going to make these very cute characters. You can see we've got different types of hats and then we have the body here. Now this is actually quite easy to do, so I wouldn't be afraid of this. What you will need is a 3mm hook and some 4-ply cotton yarn. Now for the body you can have it in any color. You can choose white, you could choose yellow, you could choose a darker, let's see, like this beige color here that we've done a few times as well. So any color of your choice is just fine, and I'm going to show you first how to make the body, and then we'll start with the hat, and maybe we'll start with this frog hat in this tutorial video. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so you're going to grab your white cotton yarn. This is 4-ply, and we're just going to make a normal magic ring, as you can see here. So I have my 3mm hook, and I'm going to just make my magic ring, and there we go. So that's how I make my magic ring. If you don't know how to make it, go check out my tutorial video on how to make a magic ring. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is crochet 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So let's start with putting our hook inside the magic ring, grabbing the yarn, and then pulling the yarn through 2 loops that are on the hook, and that's what we call a wonderful single crochet. Now let's repeat this another 6 times. So we've got 1, 2, here's number 3 coming up, so 3 right here, number 4, number 5, and after this one, number 6. Now for those of you who don't know, we are going to be crocheting in a spiral. Now this is different from crocheting each round and finishing each round with a slip stitch and chain 1. So when you're crocheting in a spiral, first of all, pull the yarn tail down here so you can close the magic ring. And instead of doing your slip stitch and chain 1 to finish this round, what we will do instead is enter our hook into this very first stitch that we made, and we're just going to continue straight on to round 2. And this is where some people like to add a stitch marker or something that helps them keep track of where the round ends. So here for me, I'm just going to be counting. So let's start in the second round where we make an increase in each of the stitches. So here's my first stitch right there. I'll go inside the same stitch and we're going to make an increase and remember, an increase just means, sorry, let me just fix this here. So an increase just means 2 single crochet stitches inside the 1 stitch. So there we go, there's our first increase. So we've got 2 single crochet stitches in the 1 stitch. Now let us keep going. So this here will be the second increase, then we have the third increase over here, and keep your stitches not too loose but not too tight either. So that's the third increase, then we have the 4th increase, 1, and here's the second, then we have the 5th increase, here we go, so 1 and 2, and then finally we have our 6th increase, and this is the final increase of the second round, so 1 and 2 right here. And there we go, we have just finished the second round and we are about to start the third round. Remember, we're crocheting in a spiral, so no slip stitch and chain 1, we just continue crocheting all the way. If you need to add a stitch marker right here before you start the third round, feel free to do that. Now in the third round we're going to be doing a single crochet stitch and then an increase, and we repeat that 6 times. So remember, it's a single crochet stitch first and then an increase, and you repeat that a total of 6 times. So here is my second single crochet stitch, and then in the next stitch is my second increase. So here 1 single crochet stitch and 2 single crochet stitches. Now I'll let you repeat this another 4 times until we finish round 3. Alright, so we've just finished round 3 here and we're about to start round 4. Now with round 4 we are still going to have an increase round, so instead of 1 single crochet stitch and then an increase, what we will have this time is 2 single crochet stitches. So here's 1, here's 2, and then we will make an increase right here. So here's the increase, 1 single crochet stitch and a second single crochet stitch in the same stitch. Now let's repeat that again. So 2 single crochet stitches first, 1 and then 2, and then we have an increase. So here's the increase right here, 1 single crochet stitch and 2 single crochet stitches. Now again, I'll let you repeat this another 4 more times until we finish the second round. You guys can do it. And there we go, we've just finished round 4, so now we're up to round 5. Now if you can do round 5, you can do anything, honestly. Getting round 5 done includes a bubble stitch, and once you know how to do that bubble stitch, you'll be able to do any pattern, I swear. Anyway, so let's just get this 5th round over and done with. Let's do this well. So the first thing we're going to do is crochet 6 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3 coming up. We'll do this together. 4, 5, and of course number 6. Okay, once you have finished 6 single crochet stitches, we're going to show you now what this bubble stitch is all about. So when you do this bubble stitch, and I want to try and show you as best as I can, you're going to wrap the yarn. You're going to put the hook through that next stitch, and you will bring the yarn through. See, now we have 3 loops on the hook, and we're going to pull the yarn through only 2 loops on that hook. Now I have 2 loops on the hook. Now let's repeat all of that again. So wrap the yarn, go in the same stitch, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through only 2 loops on the hook, and now you're left with 3 loops on the hook. Let's do it again. So wrap the yarn, same stitch, pull the yarn through, lift it up a little bit, pull the yarn through only 2 loops on the hook, and now we have 4 loops on the hook, and we need to do this one more time and then we are done almost. Same stitch, pull the yarn through and lift it up a little bit, then pull the yarn through only 2 loops on the hook, and now you have 5 loops left on the hook, and this is where we complete the bubble stitch by wrapping the yarn and pulling that yarn through all 5 loops on the hook. Now that there is a bubble stitch. Now all we're going to do now is go into the very next stitch and make a single crochet stitch, okay? And this is our first single crochet stitch after the bubble stitch. And just push that bubble stitch out so you can see it. You'll see the feet right there. And we're going to make another 5 single crochet stitches, so 6 in total. So this is number 2, this one is number 3. Oh, let me just not catch the yarn there. So this one's number 3. Then this one is number 4. 5 coming up, and our lucky number 6. I don't know if 6 is a lucky number, but anyway, we're using the number 6. There we go. So now for this second foot, we're going to do another bubble stitch. So remember, we wrap the yarn, the hook goes inside the stitch, you pull the yarn through, lift it up a little bit, and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. Wrap the yarn again, hook goes in, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. Again, wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. Now we have 4 loops on the hook. Last time, wrap the yarn, same stitch, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. We have now 5 loops on the hook. We're going to pull that yarn through all 5 loops on the hook. Do this nice and slowly so you don't catch yarn, as you can see me almost doing. And there we go. That's our next bubble stitch. And in the very next stitch, we'll just make a lovely single crochet stitch to complete all of that. And now that you've done that single crochet stitch, we're going to continue making single crochet stitches all the way until we finish this round. So this again is the 5th round, as you know. So let's just continue until we finish that 5th round. And there we go, 5th round is now done. Let's squeeze out this bubble stitch so you can see the feet. As you can see, very cute. Okay, you've done the 5th round, which means you can do this entire pattern now. No worries. Okay, so what I want you to do now is another 2 rounds. So 2 rounds in total of just, how many stitches would it be? 24 stitches in total. So 2 rounds of 24 stitches. So this is round 6 and 7, 24 stitches in total. And once you've done that, we'll come back and we'll start the next round. So again, round 6 and 7, 24 single crochet stitches in the round. Okay, so round 6 and 7 is now complete, and we're about to start round 8. So let's do this right now. So let's do 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches. Let's make a 3rd, and then after the 3rd single crochet stitch, this is where we're going to have the little side wing. So let us do another bubble stitch. You guys should be pretty familiar now with this bubble stitch. So we're going to wrap the yarn, pull through 2, wrap the yarn, and again pull through another 2, wrap the yarn again, pull the yarn through and then pull the yarn through another 2 loops that are on the hook, and keep doing this until you end up having 5 loops on your hook, and then pull the yarn through all 5 loops on the hook just to finish that, and then continue on with the single crochet. So here's the first single crochet stitch after the bubble stitch. Let's do the second, third, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. Oops, I gotta be careful that I don't get caught with the yarn there. Number 8, number 9 coming up, number 10. Oops, yep, there we go. 11, 12, and now let's just see where it is over here. So we could probably put it right here. So after 12 single crochet stitches after that bubble stitch, you'll do the other bubble stitch for the other wing on the other side. So again, we wrap the yarn and we keep pulling through 2. Whoops, you can see I'm catching yarn here. And I'll keep doing this until I end up having a total of 5 loops on my hook, as you know. So we're just continuing to wrap the yarn once, go in the same stitch, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through 2 loops at a time on that hook until you have 5 loops on the hook, and then pull the yarn through all 5 loops on the hook. There's that second wing right there, and then we'll just continue on until we've finished that round number 8, and we'll push those wings out, as you can see here, just to make it look a little better. I don't know whether you'd call them arms or wings. It depends what you're making. For this character, probably just arms, but maybe for a duck or something, you could call it the wings. So just depends there. And now we're just going to continue on again until we finish round 8 with single crochet stitches. Nice and easy single crochet stitches. Nothing too hard about that single crochet stitch. You might notice it's probably too late for me to have told you, but I do yarn under first and then yarn over. I usually don't tell anyone exactly what to do there, but that's just how I do crochet for this pattern anyway. So again, it's a yarn under first, yarn comes under the hook, and then the yarn goes over the hook to pull it through those 2 loops, as you can see there. So we're going to finish the round in this last stitch here. So yarn under and then yarn over. Now some people do crochet a little bit differently, and I've talked about this in one of my lessons. I think it's lesson number 4 if you want to go check that out as well in my crochet videos. So there we go. We have just finished round number 8. Now for rounds number 9, 10, and 11, we're just going to do our normal 24 single crochet stitches. Nice and easy. So 3 rounds, 3 full rounds of 24 single crochet stitches. And then I'll see you back after we've finished that 3rd round of the 24 single crochet stitches. Okay, so we've just finished round 11, and I'm going to pull the yarn a little bit upward just so we don't lose that stitch right there, because we have to do a few other things first. So number 1, we have to put these safety eyes into our lovely character over here. Now what I would suggest to do is probably go, see, here's the alignment of the wings, and just go maybe like around here. So I'll count what stitch this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, between 8 and 9. So rows 8 and 9, that's where you will put your little 7mm black safety eye. And then we've got this that we can close up at the back here, so we'll just push this on nice and easy, doesn't take too long. See, like that. And now we'll put in the second eye, and I usually don't like to have them spaced apart too much. But if you do, I'm going to show you a neat trick in case your eyes are too far apart. So let's just say, for instance, okay, so usually maybe I would put this over one here and put the second one here, just so they're very close together, something that looks like this. You can see there's only 2 stitch spaces apart between those eyes. But, and I'm going to show you this here. So for example, if I put my second eye, let's say it was right over here, and this is like way too far, but maybe you didn't notice it, okay? Maybe you didn't notice that these eyes are so far apart. I'm going to show you a quick trick that you can do to make it seem like they're closer together. And I'm not going to do that right now because we need to add stuffing and I need to finish this first. But remember, I will show you how to do this, and go to that section where I show you how to do that as well. For now though, before we get to that, we're going to continue crocheting. This is the beginning now of our decrease round. So this is round number 12, by the way. So round number 12, what we will do is 2 single crochet stitches. So here's number 1, here's number 2, and then we will do a decrease stitch. So when I do a decrease, there are 2 ways to do a decrease. I should probably have a video explaining this. But the first way to do a decrease is the way I love. It's where you come in the front loop of the first stitch, the front loop as well of the second stitch, as you can see here, and then you pull the yarn through, and then you pull the yarn through again. So that is what you call an invisible decrease. So let's do that again, an invisible decrease. So crochet 2 single crochets first, so 1 and then 2, and now let's see our invisible decrease. So this is where our hook goes inside the first front loop, as you can see here, and then we go to the next stitch across. Oh, just making sure it gets all of that yarn on my hook. Next stitch across, and we go straight into that front loop as well. So there's the front loop there, and then we pull the yarn through, and then we pull the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook. So you can see those 2 single crochet stitches become 1, and it's an invisible decrease because, well, you'll see in just a moment. I will show you a quick demonstration of a single crochet 2 together, which is another type of decrease, but it's not an invisible decrease. So I'll just do my 2 single crochet stitches first, and have a look at this. I'm going to take this away once I finish it, but I'm just showing you for demonstrational purposes. So this is how you do a single crochet 2 together. You come into the first single crochet stitch here, both the front and back loops, and you pull the yarn through just like that. And then you'll come into the next adjacent single crochet stitch, front and back loops as well, and you will also pull the yarn through. So now we have 3 loops on the hook, and that's where you will pull the yarn through all 3 loops on the hook. You can see that's a little bit taller over here, which is why you don't really call it an invisible decrease. But these decreases are great when you need a little bit of extra volume, or for example if you're working in the back loop, because the back loops are very difficult to do that invisible decrease. It's very difficult to put that hook also in the back loop. I mean, it is possible, but it's difficult. So usually I leave the single crochet 2 together decrease for the back loops like this, and then I'll go and pull the yarn through all 3 loops on the hook there to complete that. So that's just like an extra tip there. But for this pattern, you'll do the invisible decrease as you see here. So let's go into the front loops of those 2 adjacent stitches, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through just like that. Alright, I want you to complete that another 3 times. So we've got 2 single crochet stitches, invisible decrease, another 3 times to complete that round. Okay, so we've just finished that round there, the 2 single crochet decrease round. We're going to pull the yarn up a little bit again because we need to add some fiber filling into our little character here to give it some volume and shape. So if I do this a little bit at a time, just pushing the fiber filling all the way through until it's filled up, nice and compressed with the fiber filling inside, and then you're good to begin the crochet again. So I'll leave you putting in the fiber filling at your discretion, and then we'll come back once we've completed that. Okay, here's our character. Now you can definitely see these eyes are very far apart, although you might like this, but again, remember, I'm going to show you how to make it closer together a little bit later on. Let's just finish this pattern first, and then we'll get to that. So I've filled it up with as much fiber filling as I can possibly stuff in here. Although I don't want to stuff it too much, because as I'm completing the next round, I don't want to crochet fiber filling into my stitches, so I just have to be careful there. Now in this round, this is the second last round until we finish. So we're going to make, this is what we do. We'll make a single crochet stitch just like this, and then we will make a invisible decrease right here. And now all you would do is complete this a total of 6 times. So I'll show you one more time. So single crochet stitch first right here, and you can see I'm really pushing down this yarn so I don't get it into my stitches. And then I'll come here, oops, oopsie daisies, completely let go of the hook right there. We'll go the front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through just like that. So repeat this another 4 times until you finish this round, the second last round. And there we go, we've just finished that round. Now we have only one more round to go, which is great because we're almost finished the body, as you can see here. And all we're going to do is make 5 invisible decreases, just 5, not 6, as you may be thinking, why not 6? So let's go inside those front loops, as you can see here. So front loops, front loop, pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through, and I want you to make 5 of those in total. So I'll leave you to do that now. So there are our 5 invisible decreases, as you can see here. If I made a 6th one, I feel like this circle at the top will be very small, and so when I try to close it, I might be left with a little bit of a bump because it might be overlapping each other. That's the reason why I only made 5 decreases. But I am going to go into this very next stitch and just make a slip stitch to finish off this pattern, as you can see here. And I'll pull the yarn and I'll give myself maybe about 10 centimeters or so, and then I'll cut the yarn right there. So let's cut the yarn over here. And now all I need is a pair of scissors. And now all I need is a needle so I can weave it through the front loops here. I'll show you how to do that just now. So the yarn will go through the eye of a needle, and this is my needle that I used. It's no particular brand, but it works fantastically for me. And all we do now is just go into the front loops of the remaining 7 stitches. This is how you close a project. So remember, to close a project, you will go and insert the needle through only the front loops of all the remaining stitches in that final round. So as you can see, this is the front loop right here. So we'll continue going and weaving our yarn into all of these front loops until we've finished all of them. As you see here, we're almost done. There we go. And once I've weaved my yarn through all of those, what I'll do is I'll give it a little bit of a pull, and you'll start to see it closing up just like that. And it's great because we don't have any lumps or anything over here. So we've closed that little bit of a gap, and to finish this, I'm going to insert my needle right into the middle or the center point of that gap, and then I'm just going to poke my needle anywhere else. It doesn't matter where that needle goes, and then I'm going to pull the yarn through and pull it a little bit tight so it closes even more. As you can see there, it's a nice flat surface at the top. It's not obvious that there was a gap there before. And all I will do now is just weave this yarn in a few times into my body, making sure that it's going in places where there's white yarn. If I had 2 different colors, I wouldn't put this white yarn in the other color. And the reason I want to do this as well is because you'll see, for example, I'm over here and I might come down here, I might come across here. I usually don't go side to side. It's usually down or across, just to keep in line with the shape that the stitch makes is all that I do here. And I don't pull it too tightly either, just to make sure that it's not obvious. It kind of just blends in, as you can see there. And once you've done that a few times, you will just cut the yarn to finish that off. Any excess yarn that's poking through, you'll just poke it back in with the back of the needle, and there you have it. There you have your finished product, or whatever it may be, and that's how you close the gap at the top. There you go. Here I'm going to show you how to bring these eyes a little bit closer together. So I purposely left these eyes very far apart, at least for my liking anyway. And just imagine you've done the same thing and realized it a little bit too late. And this is just a way that you can bring these eyes a little bit closer together so it looks a little bit like this. Now you can do this anyway, like even if your eyes were this close, you could still create this indentation where it kind of forms that nose bridge that you want. So this is how we're going to do it. I've just got a needle here with some white yarn. It's matching this body color over here, and I'm going to insert my needle anywhere, it doesn't matter where, and then I will come somewhere relatively close to my eye. So because this needle's a little bit big, it's okay because I am quite close to this eye. It's very close, as you can see here. I'll pull the yarn, and then I'm just going to either go, now there's no particular way here, I can go down or I can go up. Now this stitch to me seems closer, so I'm going to enter my yarn in the stitch above. And then I'm going to come out, and I'll probably come out somewhere right here. Again, a close stitch to the eye, so anywhere around this inner edge, as you can see. So I'm going to pull this, and I'm not going to pull too hard right here because this yarn tail is going to pull through if I do that. But this is where it all begins. So I am going to now enter my needle in a stitch below It's no point entering a stitch above because this isn't really where that nose bridge is. So a stitch below over here, and I might come back to another stitch that I had over here. So let's do that, and this is where I can start pulling. So I'm going to pull it in. As you can see, we've already started creating that nose bridge already, which is wonderful. Now I'm going to this time, so here's my stitch up here, I'm going to come down maybe one stitch, and this time I will enter my hook, my needle maybe over here. Again, right near the inner portion of the eye as well. And I'm just going to keep pulling until we really create that nose bridge that you can see. My needle will come up maybe a little bit, and then I will enter my needle a little bit over here, as you can see. Again, we're just creating that nose bridge. So every time now we're going to pull a little bit tighter. Then I will come up maybe over here is a good idea. And I could even go to the side if I can get that plastic part away. If you can't get around the eye very well with the angle that you're in, go somewhere else, pull the yarn like this. I'm still going to pull the yarn so it makes that indentation over here, and then come back into that same stitch space. So remember, this is where my stitch is right here, so my needle will go in that same stitch space, and then I will try and insert my needle. I have a better angle this time so I can get into this stitch space, which is what I wanted in the first place, and I'll just pull this. No need to pull it tight over here because it's the same space, nothing's going to happen. And now this is where I can enter my needle over here, which is what I wanted. So there we go, and that's probably enough, you know, but you can keep going until you've formed that indentation that you want. And I'll just pull that one a little bit. You can reorient those eyes so they look a little bit neater, as you can see. And there we go, the eyes are closer together, and we've also formed a nose bridge, which I think is very adorable. So that's just a little tip for how you can make that indentation right there, bring the eyes closer together, and form a very cute, defined, with a little bit of a 3D effect over here, character. I hope that helps. And there is our finished body, as you can see. It looks great. And now we have to decide what hat we want. So this video is going to show you how to make the frog hat. Alright, so this is what the beautiful frog hat looks like from the top, the sides, and the bottom, as you can see here. So we're going to make this little froggy hat. Alright, so you'll just need some green yarn, that's all you'll need, and your same 3mm hook, and you're just going to start your crochet project with making a magic ring as normal. With amigurumi projects, it usually is starting in a magic ring, and once you have that magic ring all ready to go, as I almost have here, then we're just going to make 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So I'll let you guys do that with me at the same time. So here's number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, and finally number 6. So you can see here we now have 6 single crochet stitches in the magic ring, and we're now going to pull that magic ring. There you go. Okay, what we're going to do here, because it's a hat and you will see any type of seam line, we are going to crochet in a spiral. So this is what we want to do here. So crochet in a spiral. The next round is 6 increases in total. So you just go into that first stitch over here and make your very first increase. So here's this first single crochet stitch, and then the increase, so the second single crochet stitch, just like that. Then we'll do it again. So we're going to make 6 of these, don't we? So this is number 2, then this one is number 3, 1 and 2. This one coming up is number 4, 1, 2, then number 5, so the 5th increase after that magic ring. So round 2, 5th increase is finished this just there, and then we have the final or 6th increase, so 1 and 2. There we go. So that's the second round now complete. You are going to now in the third round do the following. So single crochet stitch, first, and then you make an increase, and you're going to repeat that little pattern there a total of 6 times. So the single crochet stitch first and then the increase. You can see the pattern at the bottom written down there for your benefit as well. So again, single crochet stitch first and then an increase, and you want to complete that a total of 6 times to complete the 3rd round. So I'll let you finish now the next 4 lots of single crochet increase. We are now up to round 4, and if you could get through round 4, you have pretty much made the entire hat, because round 4 is probably the trickiest part in the entire pattern, but don't fret because it's not that tricky either. It's just the most complicated part, but really on a scale of 1 to 10 it's probably a rated like 3, so it's not that difficult either. So what we're going to do is we're still going to, in this 4th round, make 2 single crochet stitches and then an increase, but we're going to make a couple of bubble stitches in there as well. So let's start off with single crochet stitch and then another single crochet stitch, and then the next one as an increase. So this is just your normal increase round, so an increase in that stitch right there. There we go, we've done the first lot of 6, let's say that. Now in the next one we're going to make a single crochet stitch, but in the 2nd stitch here, instead of making a single crochet stitch, we're going to make a bubble stitch. But this bubble stitch is not your typical bubble stitch either. So we're going to do it all the same, but you'll see what I mean. So wrap the yarn first, come into this stitch here, pull the yarn through, lift it up a little bit, and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. Now you have 2 loops on the hook. So let's repeat this process. Wrap the yarn, go in the same stitch space, pull the yarn through, lift it up a little bit, pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, and now you should have 3 loops on the hook, as you can see here. Wrap the yarn again, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through just 2 loops on the hook. Now you have 4 loops on the hook. Wrap the yarn again, pull the yarn through, lift up a little bit, just to give yourself a little bit more working space, and pull the yarn through. So now you should have 5 loops on the hook, and we're going to continue this because this isn't a typical bubble stitch here where you pull the yarn through all 5 loops here, but we're going to continue until we get 7 loops on the hook, because we want that frog eye to look a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to keep pulling through 2. So now I've got 6 loops on the hook, and this will be my very last one. And pull that yarn through, lift it up, always lifting it up a little bit, pull through 2 loops, and now we have 7 loops on the hook. If you want to count them, go ahead and count them, or you can take my word for it. And now we're going to pull the yarn through all 7 loops on the hook. We just want to be careful that we're not catching yarn, as you can see here. So we've done pretty well. I think I've caught a little bit of yarn as I did that, but we are okay. So there is my wonderful eye. We'll call it an eye because it kind of is where the frog's eye is going to go. And then in this very next stitch, don't mistake it for thinking that this is not a stitch here, because it is. So just stretch it a little bit so you can see that. Enter the hook through, and in this space you're going to make an increase. So here's the first stitch, single crochet stitch, right? Let me just get that all on the hook, and then you're going to go into that same space because we need to make an increase and complete that 2nd single crochet stitch. Now remember, this is still an increase round, so you're always doing 2 single crochet stitches, increase, then it should be 2 single crochet stitches, but you replaced one of those single crochet stitches with a bubble stitch, and now you had an increase to finish that off. So let's do another 2 single crochet stitches, 1, here's number 2, and an increase, 1 and 2, and now in this one we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to again replace one of those single crochet stitches with a bubble stitch. So for the first one it's just a normal single crochet stitch. For the second one we do the bubble stitch. So here we go, wrap the yarn, pull through 2 loops on the hook, wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, lift it up a little, 2 loops, and we've got 3 loops on the hook. Wrap the yarn again, pull the yarn through again, 2 loops on the hook. You've got 4 now on the hook. Wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, 2 loops on the hook. You've got 5 loops now left on the hook. Let's repeat this another 2 times so we get 7 loops on the hook in total. So there's 6 there, and final one, wrap the yarn, pull through 2, and you should have now 7 loops on the hook. Count them if you want. And now I usually pull this a little bit down so I don't catch the yarn as I pull this yarn all the way through. You can see I'm pulling. One is going one way, my other hand is pulling down, this hand is pulling up, just so I can easily get through all of those loops. Nice and easy. Okay, now remember the stitch that sometimes looks a little bit invisible because of this big fat bobble stitch over here, but it's right here. We need to make an increase in this. So pull it and then make that increase, get it through, and so that's 1 single crochet stitch. We've got to make the increase though, which means 2 single crochet stitches, as you can see here. Then just redirect that bubble stitch so it goes the right way. Now you've got 2 wonderful big frog eyes as you want, and now let's just complete this. So everything else is simple from here. 2 single crochet stitches and increase. So let's make that increase 1 and number 2 right there. And now let's do it again. Last time, single crochet again in the next stitch, and of course an increase to finish off our 4th round. Now this 4th round was the hardest part of the total pattern, so now you can relax and everything else is very simple and easy going from here. There we go. Now in the next round, this is our 5th round. It is another increase round, just so that you're aware. Instead of 2 single crochet stitches between an increase, this time you will have 3. So easy done. 1, 2, 3 single crochet stitches, and then of course the increase, because this is an increase round, because we want to make this hat a little bit bigger. It's got to be bigger than our body, right? So that's why we go up to 3 and then increase. Okay, I'll let you repeat that another 5 times until you finish that round. Okay, so we've just finished the 5th round, and now we're going to do rounds 6 and 7, and 6 and 7 is just 30 single crochet stitches all the way around. So for example, here's 1, here's 2, and just continue until you reach 30, and that will be the completion of round 6, and then do it again for round 7. Okay, so we've just finished round 6 and 7, and we're now onto the final round. So in this final round, it's an increase round, and all we do is just rotate between a single crochet stitch and an increase, and we will just complete that all the way around. So remember, single crochet stitch first, and then an increase. Sorry, I just took a while to get the yarn not caught on the hook. So let's complete that all the way around until you have finished the increase round, and then you are done. Alright, so we've just finished all of those increases now, and in this very next stitch, so this would technically be the beginning stitch of the next round, but we're not going to move on to the next round. Instead, I'm just going to make a slip stitch. Now there's many ways that you can finish after crocheting in a spiral. I will just simply finish on a slip stitch. I think that's probably easiest for everyone. And then we will cut a little bit of yarn over here. So here we're just cutting the yarn, as you can see, pulling that through, and then we're just going to weave this yarn tail into this end to hide it right now. So let's do that. When it comes to weaving the yarn, so you can see I've got my yarn tail through the eye of the needle over here, and then I've come into the back portion of my hat, and I've just woven the needle through these yarn threads under here. So you kind of want a sharp needle to be able to do this as well. So a relatively thin and sharp needle is exactly what you want to do to be able to do this. I usually put my needle through about 6 or 7 of these threads, and then if you need to, use a pair of pliers to pull it through. If not, just pull it through, and don't pull it too tightly either, because you don't want this to bend. You want to maintain that sort of curvature structure over here. And once you're good with that, all you need to do is just cut the yarn to finish that off. Cut it a little bit better than what I did. My scissors are a little bit blunt, as you can see there. And with this part, you can also weave it through, or for me, I'm pretty happy that it's secured, so I'm just going to cut it. You're not going to see it anyway, because we're going to sew the hat onto the head, and it's going to be invisible the entire time. So all good. Now let's put some eyes on this frog and a little mouth, and then we will sew it onto the head, and then we are done with our first little character, as you can see here. So don't be afraid, this actually doesn't require much effort. I'm just going to have my yarn tail sort of pop through wherever I please. You could also weave it in a little bit. So for example, if I wanted to weave my yarn tail just so that I can be sure that it's not going to come loose. For example, I want my needle to end up being here so that the black eye can move across from the inner top to the diagonal down. If that makes sense, across this portion here. So I've got to get my yarn up here, as you can see. So I'm just going to weave this in a little bit, just so we can make sure it's all in. So coming over here, just weaving it through a couple of these threads first before I pop it through. So I'll just weave that. As you can see, we've gone through a few of those threads. I'm going to pull the yarn through, just leave myself a little bit here just in case I weave it too much. And now I've got to get to the top of where I want this to be, so maybe around here. This is a good place to come out at. I'm going to move this. Okay, we are looking good. We are looking very good right now. And this comes diagonal down, as you can see here. So diagonal down, and I'll just put my stitch needle, I'll put my needle over here. I'm losing words at the moment for some reason. Okay, and we'll just shape that a little bit nice. Don't pull it too much, because otherwise you'll pull this section over here, and there's that first eye. Now, no need to weave in the yarn, because this hat is going to be hidden anyway, as in all the insides you won't be able to see, because we will sew the hat, so it doesn't really matter there. So I'm just going to go directly into where my eye should start now from the other end. So I'm going to come up to the inner top section as well. As you can see that I've done right there. Inner top section, don't pull it too tight. There it is. You don't want to pull that hat too tightly. And then you'll come down all the way to the outer bottom diagonal as well. And then we also need to make a quick mouth. So I'm going to weave my needle back where the point of the mouth should begin. I'm going to move this a little bit slowly so I can direct that yarn there as well. There we go. As you can see, we've got some great eyes. I could have even moved this stitch maybe one more back as well, but it's up to you what you think looks good. And then from here, just to make that mouth, I'll probably end up coming here. This is the pointed section, and then coming back out around here. So let's see that now. Let's see what it looks like. Making that frog's mouth. So there's the one side of it, and then here will be the second side. And I'll put my yarn needle straight back into that point at the bottom, as you can see. Pull that, pull it. We've got a frog hat now. It's looking more like a frog, which is great. And now I'll just weave my yarn through a couple of these stitches to finish it and to secure that inside, so that we don't have the yarn coming undone later on when someone has this on a yarn chain or a keychain. You don't want yarn falling apart, so make sure you weave it in as best as you can just to secure that in place. And once done, you can just cut the yarn. As you can see, I'm going to do that right here and here, and then we have our beautiful frog hat that will go on top of our character. Now, a couple of other things as well before we sew this on. We're almost done, but we do want to make a mouth here, I think. So let's make a quick little mouth. We can probably do like a smiley face or something. So all I'll do is, I've still got my black yarn. We're going to be using it. I'll come into one of these stitches at the bottom, doesn't really matter where. And then I'm going to come where I think the mouth should begin. So maybe over here. And again, there's no like right way or wrong way to do this. It's just up to your discretion. Wherever you think the mouth should be, that's what you do. And I'll add a little bit of that point down here just so we can round this mouth so it looks a little bit more like a smiley mouth. And to do that, you can see that I've put it here, the yarn comes here, and then my needle will go over the top and into that very same stitch. And then I will, since I'm finished now with my yarn, I'm going to pop it back through where I emerged or inserted the yarn in the first place. And now I'm going to pull this down a little bit, pull it nice and slowly. I don't want too much of a corner. You can also weave the yarn through all of these if you want a seamless finish, but I'm quite happy with what I have here, so we're just going to leave it as is. I'll just kind of redirect that there. Then we have a beautiful mouth, as you can see. And all we will do now to finish this off, since the yarn tails have come out in the same place, we just tie a knot to secure this in place, as you can see. And then you'll do a double knot. Pull that double knot a little bit tighter as well. Cut the yarn above that double knot, and then with the back of your yarn needle, all you will do is just push in the knot into the body to hide it. And then you shouldn't be able to see it anymore. You can even put your needle in a different place and just kind of wave over the top so it really gets rid of that color. And there we go. So there is my beautiful mouth. It's kind of looking like a ghost a little bit. And the last thing we'll do is add the hat and sew the hat on. So of course, for sewing the hat, we do need green yarn, of course. Now the reason why we need green yarn, I'm sure you can probably already know, but if you don't know, it's because the color of the hat is green. So I need to use green yarn so it can blend in quite nicely. Otherwise, you would see a different color all the way throughout the entire hat, which you would not want to see. It would look quite messy. So I'm going to weave this yarn through. I'm going to sit the hat on nice and neatly over here. I'll just push it with my fingers so I can direct it well, and I'll come anywhere and I'll poke my needle through a portion of the hat, and I'll just weave it onto the side and come in maybe around just before my last row, as you can see, and I'll keep weaving in place. So there's one, here's number two, and I'll come out maybe here. You don't need to weave in every single stitch space, just a few of these stitch spaces is more than enough to secure the hat in place. You'll be quite surprised. Usually when it comes to sewing, you don't have to do too much sewing, which is a nice thing for a lot of you who don't like to do sewing. I am fine with sewing though. I don't have a problem with sewing, so it doesn't matter to me. But as you can see, I'm not pulling these stitches too tightly either, because I don't want to disturb the shape of the hat. I just want to keep its normal hat shape, but secure it all the way around. So that's why I'm not pulling the stitches too tightly. Or well, yeah, it is the stitches technically, because I'm pulling that, as you can see. And this might be my last one. I've secured it quite nicely here. I'll have the yarn needle emerge in the same place that I inserted it at the very beginning. That way, at the end, I can just tie it and make sure the first tie here is not too tight. You don't want to be pulling that last stitch that you had there, but when you come to that double knot, the second knot, you want to pull this quite tightly. Secure that in place very well. If you had a thinner yarn, you'd probably do even a triple knot. Did I say triple? I hope I did. But that's what I meant if I didn't say it properly. Okay, so pushing this yarn into the body to hide it. Again, same techniques, coming in through a different stitch, weaving around just to really hide that in place. And there we go. We have a beautiful frog hat. As you can see, here's a frog hat too. Do we have any more frog hats? Yes, we do. We've even added blush with a pink to this cheeks, and I'll probably do that. Why not, right? But there we go. There's our frog hats on our little character's body. And there we go. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Check out my other videos for the other hats as well.